Central African Republic, the largest group of Wagner PMC members on the continent, is located here. For the last few years, mercenaries have carried out tasks for the Kremlin and earned money here. After the death of Prigozhin and Utkin, the Russian government takes direct control of thousands of troops.
The Russian leadership has taken a clear course to neutralize not only on the territory of Russia and Ukraine, including Belarus, but also, of course, to carry out a complete rotation on the entire African continent, where they, to some extent, had indulgence in control, especially in the military sphere, business, conducting special operations, especially to change the security regime of precisely those protégés of the leaders of countries who specifically supported the Russian Federation or contributed to their business.
Recently, the Central African Republic was visited by Russian Deputy Defense Minister Yunusbek Yevkurov and military intelligence officer Major General Andrei Averyanov. They informed the Republic's leadership that the Russian presence in the country remains, but now under the command of the Russian Ministry of Defense. The president of the Central African Republic, Touadera, in turn said that only those Wagnerites who agree to obey the Federation's Ministry of Defense will remain in the country. Yevkurov and Averyanov's tour to Africa also included stops in Mali and Burkina Faso. These are also long-standing spheres of influence of Wagner.
And the curators in all areas of the Ministry of Defense made a decision at the highest level that right now the main intelligence directorate of the General Staff will control all units that will provide security for embassies. On the other hand, to carry out all these measures to control regimes, carry out coups taking into account the use of force, and of course creating conditions for a more effective Russian policy in a particular country. What are these countries? This is Sudan, this is the Central African Republic, this is Eritrea. This is the Republic of South Africa.
According to analysts, practically nothing has changed in the structure and work of the Russian mercenary group in Africa. Most commanders have retained their posts and the militants continue to provide services to local regimes. In return, they share income from the extraction of natural resources, and all this Kremlin propaganda calls ensuring security.
Now, in the near future, we expect that all contracts, not all, but most of the contracts, one way or another given to Yevgeny Prigozhin's companies, will be divided between affiliated companies with close people of the president and the same Gennady Timchenko. And we see that trial balloons have already been launched in this area. There are already agreements, including in Syria.
According to experts, most of the operations of the Wagner PMC under the control of the Ministry of Defense will continue. After all, Africa for Russia is a field for playing strategy, where Moscow, Beijing and Western countries are fighting for control. Here the Kremlin seeks to secure not only financial benefits, but also increased political influence.
This Russian geography in Africa is very wide, and having put its roots there, Russia has indeed captured quite a lot of oil fields, including in Syria. Well, there are a lot of diamonds deposits, that's why Putin and Timchenko and the entire Russian leadership are placing such a big bet on Africa. Well, under the conditions of sanctions, when Russia will greatly reduce the supply of various components, for example for aircraft as well as for weapons, well, Africa is such a new front.
At the same time, the change in control led to a disruption in the logistics of the Wagnerites in Africa, the Institute for the Study of War writes in its report. Because of this, the rebel coalition coordination of Azawad movements was able to recapture the city of Burem in Mali from the Wagner group. Reported by Sergei Kulas, Vasyl Panasiuk, UATV News.